Welcome to Bushcraft Camp Update 5. It's been a while since I've actually been back out at camp as such, and I thought I'd do another update video now that I've got a bit of time. Firstly, I'd just like to say thank you very much to everyone who subscribed and commented and liked the videos. Since the previous camp update videos somehow gone a little bit viral, which I never quite expected. I think at the current time it's over 65,000 views, which is just incredible. So thank you very much for all your support there, guys, and I'm pleased that you're joining me on this adventure. This is just an adventure, you know. I've never said that I'm a professional bushcrafter or expert in this field. I'm just a guy out here in the woods enjoying myself and filming and making videos. If this is the first time you're watching a bushcraft video of mine, then please check out, I'll pop a link here, basically Bushcraft Camp Update 1 and all the rest of the videos that I have in the Bushcraft series, and you can go through those and then catch up with yourself and hopefully end up here at Camp Update 5. The time of year at the moment is we're actually getting towards the beginning of spring, which is incredible. It feels like it's taken ages to get here, but it finally feels like spring is here. I've seen a number of birds. The birds, you may hear them in the background, are tweeting away. I've seen red kites, I've seen a woodpecker this morning, I've seen a small robin. So, you know, it's nice at the moment to see those kind of morning birds coming out as well, and to hear that woodpecker was really, really good. And the flowers and the trees are just starting to bud, which is nice. So spring is definitely on its way. Temperatures are still a little bit cold. It was 4 degrees when I got out the car this morning, but it's coming up to double figures later on today, and that is in Celsius for those that are wondering. My plan for today at the Bushcraft Camp, obviously those who have followed me from Bushcraft Camp Update 1 will know that most of the time I've been building kind of a perimeter and a surrounding to my camp, the walls, and obviously my main shelter. So today I've got one more kind of area to finish to then seal off the camp itself, and that is the second shelter. I plan to make this shelter more of a lean-to style. It's more of a simple shelter, and I've got a tarp as well just to kind of proof it a bit more, you know, from the rain and the windy conditions. And then hopefully once I've done that, my actual kind of camp structure itself will be finished, and then I can focus on things like a fire pit and log store and things like that. Well, as you can see, this is from the other angle, and I've got this log just down here. It's basically a measuring log, but that is essentially I'm going to put a log and rest it on the end of the two walls here, tie it, lash it all together, and my lean-to is going to be lent up like that, and that will seal off this whole area here. And it can make a shelter, sort of a secondary shelter, and a log store as well. And then the entrance will actually be just over the side here. I'll go and show you now. This is the entrance to the shelter. Pretty simple at the moment, because obviously the secondary shelter will be to my left, but this is where I will be entering the camp. Okay, so it is time to build the second shelter. I'm not going to film the whole thing for you because that will be very time consuming, but I'll get the kind of ridge log, the main log, in place, and then I'll explain what I'm going to do from there. If you want to see basically how I put this together, because it is actually sunk into the ground, check out a little box I put in the corner, or in the video description for how I made this little chopping log, which actually is outside my base because I didn't want the wood chippings going everywhere. Well guys, I have finished lashing the ridge log across. As you can see, it goes over there, and I've just lashed it with a bit of paracord for now, leftover paracord that I've had, and that's certainly going to be strong enough anyway. I'm not going to have too many sort of thick logs on this ridge log. It's only going to be sort of basically the same diameter as the ridge log itself, probably a bit smaller, but I've got them all chopped up over here. So here you go, you can see I've processed all the wood ready to go to basically form the outside of that lean-to shelter. And I've had a few questions basically saying, what do I do, you know, is the wood that I'm using on my bushcraft camp for the walls and the shelters and things like that, is that live trees that I'm cutting down? Well, those of you who've watched my older bushcraft videos will know that it is certainly not live trees that I'm cutting down. I condone cutting down live trees. There's absolutely no reason to do it really, except for kind of woodland management and things like that. But as far as building shelters and things like that go, you do not need to cut down live trees. I'm fortunate enough that in my area it's unmanaged, and there's lots of blown down trees. They're pine trees, you know, their roots aren't necessarily deep, they're fairly shallow, so they do blow down a lot. And I just want to basically come and join me on a walk, and I will show you how much deadfall there actually is around here. So here we go. As you can see, there is trees down everywhere you go. These are not live trees, they are horizontal on the floor. Definitely dead trees, guys. Lots of them about, lots of live trees around as well, but I don't touch those. But as you can see, we're barely walking through only a small patch of where I have my camp, but you can see there is still so many trees around, guys. There's so much wood on the floor that can be processed. And even up in the sky there, you can see there's fallen down crossed bits of branches. There is plenty of deadfall around. I do not need to explain that I'm cutting down live trees, because I'm certainly not. And I hope that satisfies the minds of those curious folk who are thinking whether I'm cutting down trees or not. I am certainly not. Loads of deadfall around, hence why I've processed all my wood, which is dead wood. Okay, so got my ridge log in here. It's nice and secure. It's very rigid. It's obviously it's leaning on the walls, which themselves are actually very strong. So all I need to do now is I am going to put a tarp down first, purely to make it a bit more waterproof. I know some of you purist bushcrafters out there are probably thinking, oh no, he's using synthetic materials or something like that. It's available, you know. I had a spare tarp, and if I'm sleeping under this shelter, I'd like to be completely waterproof. Obviously, if I didn't have a tarp, I'd still make it anyway, but for the sake of the fact that I've got one and, you know, I can completely proof it, then I'll put the logs on top. And if it works, you know, why bother changing it? Makes life that little bit easier.
Trapped in space, still living every day in a positive way. I know it's hard, when I'm gone, but I'll be back someday, so keep searching through this misty haze.
So I just wanted to talk about the reason basically why I've made these stakes as I have. These are to stake down the tarp. What I've done is I've beveled the top of the actual top of the stake, and the reason being is because if you don't, a lot of the time when you're hitting it with either the back of an axe or a larger log, this can split. So by beveling the top, you're basically altering the pressure and spreading the pressure of that axe head as it goes down. So as I hit there, that pressure is then much more direct, basically, and it's less likely to split the wood. So that's why I've beveled the back of the stake, and then the front of the stake I've just whittled off a bit from about 1.5 to 2 inches. It's soft ground here anyway, so it should go in fairly well. Well, while my firebox is going, just getting the ready for some beans, I thought I'd show you the lean-to shelter that I've built. As you can see, plenty of dead wood there just to keep the rain out and the wind out, and obviously there's that tarp underneath which I secured with some toggles basically, which I'll come and show you in a minute. The sides I will fill in another time, and I'll probably put some firewood in there as well just to build up the sides, but as you can see, not many gaps. The tarp's obviously underneath that, and again this side will be filled in as well, but that's pretty well secure from the elements. There's my kind of main shelter at the moment, which again is still unfinished, but you can see that it's got that kind of skeleton system that I've built there, and that's all lashed down, and a big 3x3 meter tarp I think there. That's just a bench where I put my bag and things like that. There's a little table as well, flat table I made there from some logs. And there's another wall here to my right. This is my Bushcraft soaring horse. Really good this. I've used this so much. It's just made from bits of pine tree basically, bits of dead wood that I've lashed together with some fishing line and any kind of natural, well not natural cordage, but any old cordage that I had lying around. And I use that a lot. It saves me bending over sawing wood on the floor. I can now get it up to about waist height, and it just saves my back and all the pain from my back from bending over sawing all the time. Got another big wall there, and there is the new lean-to shelter, which is not complete admittedly, but next time I come here it won't take much to complete that. The tarp does not stretch across the whole shelter. That is not deliberate, that is completely accidental. But do you know what guys, it covers enough. It's long enough to cover someone sleeping there to keep them dry. And I will put some natural kind of foliage on the outside as well, probably bracken because that's what I've got most of out here, and fill that in with some bracken. And eventually I hope to get a bed made there. That's probably the next step, is a bed there, but I'd also like to get my bed kind of done over there in that shelter. So that's probably the next step, is making a bed, and then I'd like to get a fire pit going. So guys, that's it for Camp Update 5, and finally finished the second shelter. Now it really does feel like the perimeter of my wall is complete. Thank you very much for all your comments and feedback. It's been amazing. It's been a really good fun journey so far. I've got lots to do still at the camp. I want to do probably some make a bed and also a fire pit. I think I need a fire pit next because I've been using my firebox stove just to kind of protect the ground a bit, and it's kind of quicker really, more efficient just to get a small fire going. But I'd like to have a real good base here for a fire, you know, a good fire pit. So any suggestions guys? I've got kind of a rough idea in my mind of what I'd like to do, but I'm really open to suggestions. So anything that you've got in mind with regards to bed and fire pit, please comment below, and feel free to share the video with your friends and things like that. Guys, I'm just out here to, you know, enjoy myself. Obviously be safe when you're using sharp tools and things like that. I know a lot of you are wanting to go out and make a camp, and you need to get the correct permissions and things like that if you're on private land, which I do have here. But thank you so much for all the support, and I hope to be back out here doing Camp Update 6 really soon. Thanks guys.